Hi, I'm Rick.
Hi, I'm Oscar.
So, Oscar, today we have this awesome and interesting topic.
Yeah, C#9.
C#9.
Are you using it?
I'm using it partially. So, I do have a couple of things that I'm using, but I haven't looked at it close enough to leverage all of the power of C#9.
Yeah, probably also not all of the power of what got introduced in 8.
Yeah.
But still, even though we have it for a few months, I still did want to highlight it a bit. Because it might change the way you work, you communicate in your code with your reading developer, because reading code happens much more than writing.
Yep.
So I want to dive in a few things. And first things first. Let's and I'll go to my screen because I have a project to work with.
Yep.
Just to recap, if you want the lang version 9 in there, you need to define it. Well, you don't need to define it if you're on 5, and because it's the default.
Yep. But if you're doing .NET Core 3.1,
yeah, and you want some of the benefits of the language, you can put it to lang version 9 or preview or latest. There are some variations in there. I always enable the nullable since 8.
Yep. True.
I sometimes disable it because it's just
Yep.
because it's existing code. Let's say that.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah. But yeah, if you cannot find what's working, check this thing out. You probably have something incorrect there. But one of the big themes in C#9 is immutability.
Yeah.
And immutability is a big topic.
It is, and it's actually spreading out across multiple languages and frameworks. Mm-hmm. And now with C#9, the language specification, we also get immutability in C#, or better support for immutability in C#, right?
Yeah, because you can always create an immutable object if you want, or a class. But you see that more functional programming type styles are becoming more popular. You also don't have to mix everything and use everything in your project, of course, but I'm certainly seeing some of the benefits of more functional, immutable style in some cases. So the big topic there is records.
Yeah.
Because that will help us be immutable. Let's dive into this example. Looking at a normal construction of, again, this is the standard person example.
The person class.
I created a class in like old school, which is pretty immutable.
Yeah, from the outside world.
From the outside, right? It's immutable.
Because from the inside, we can still change those backing fields, and that will change the value the property returns.
Indeed, but from the outside, it only has a getter.
Yeah.
There's only one moment where you can initialize them. That's why my nullable is also not complaining at the moment, because hey, these strings always have something.
Yeah.
And you cannot put a null in there because I didn't add the question mark.
True.
So this was already a good place to be. But just to store 2 properties on...
I think it's 24 until 50, so we have 26 lines of, mostly fluff to enable us to have 2 properties on a class that are immutable from the outside.
For now, we can stay for now in the class that we have. Let's not go to the record type just yet, but we have a new trick that might help us be a bit more terse, create it a bit simpler, because we could always do this, put a get setter in there. Now, of course, we're getting the complaints about the nullability, but we are definitely not immutable right now. You can pass this object in somewhere, and you can do something with it. That's how I call my demo methods always.
Yeah, I know those. You stole my names.
Then it comes out, and you don't know if it's still the same thing.
True.
And that's what we want to achieve. So we got a new keyword here, and it's called Init, and that is instead of the set, and it just defines that we can only set this on construction. Yep. But I just removed the constructor.
Yeah. So now I have to explicitly do it with the curly braces, or?
Yes. So you have the construction moment and then the initialization, and that really became a separate phase. So I can define it like this. Last time you get also nice IntelliSense, knows exactly what I'm planning to do. I can skip the normal brackets. So this helps us because now in Rick 1, in the example, I cannot do anything with the first name anymore. Yeah, I can read it, but I cannot definitely not set it.
Yeah, so now it says it's an init-only property or indexer, so you can't assign to it.
Indeed.
So this is immutable from the outside, just like the entire class with backing fields implementation was, right?
Definitely, and this is closer to what we're used to. So if you're like, well, let's optimize some code here, this is definitely a way to go. But this also created in the background created a lot of opportunity to make this even cooler, because if we go for record is a class. It's just a class. It's just a bit more special, in a good way.
Special cookie.
So we call the person now record, and you can still do that also with the inits because it's still just a class.
Yep.
But one of the options is to create your definition as short as you can imagine. Not string.
Wow, that
And
almost looks like a tuple definition.
That is, well, yeah, it is kind of interesting, of course. And then instead of the doing this, like this is not really optimal. I need to pass them in because I just created, the class and the constructor in one go here. So this is actually a constructor definition which implies all the fields that are in there. So like you, it is. I'm expecting this thing. It should always be this thing. Nothing else. You cannot do anything from the outside. So it is an immutable.
That's awesome.
Record.
And then it's such a delicate and simple way of defining what that record should look like, and it even
The
makes
only
me.
weird thing in there is I've had like something that looks like a constructor or a method call.
Yeah.
And I'm using Pascal casing instead of
Yeah.
camel casing.
Yeah. I
That's the weird thing
I get
for
that
my
one.
brain.
You know what this looks like to me? TypeScript.
Yeah.
There you also can do first name, semicolon, string, and then you define that in the constructor. You define this is a property, public property, available on this class that I'm constructing.
Yeah, indeed. So it's powerful. It's so short that I would consider, if I have a lot of models in my project, if it's a real project and not some person example, you might have, I wouldn't give these things their own class anymore or their own file anymore.
No, and with separate classes, I think you should always put them in separate files. But this, I mean, we can have like 10 of these in one file, and that's the entire model of the API.
So you might had a directory and a namespace with /models in there, and you had a lot of classes in there. Now you might have a file called /models with all these things in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's really awesome. But
That's powerful.
we got something more.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, wait, there's more. So I created, we had two rigs here, and they're definitely not the same.
No.
I love you guys both, but you're not the same.
Oh, we aren't.
So it will always say they are not equal. Even if let's do it correct.
So if you do this with classes, these would be two separate
These are still
instances.
not equal, right?
With classes, those are not equal. Since
But
there
you
was
can
two different
implement it
instances.
yourself. If you want to override that equality.
You have to have an equality compare.
And what are you going to do then?
Go over all of the properties and see if the values are the same, and then you would say, okay, so all of the values are the same, so even though these are different instances of a class, the values in them are the same.
And sometimes you just compare the ID because you're, depending on what your use case, and you get into trouble because of that, because classes change. Well, never, indeed. Now I just serialize them and just compare the string. That's
or
sufficient.
calculate a hash, that's something that's also been done.
Yeah, no, well, the side effect of a record is they have equality implemented for all the fields you're passing in, or all the properties you're passing in.
So this will
say
do an equal?
It's equal.
That's awesome.
That's cool, right?
That is awesome.
And I have one more thing in records before I move on, because we have other nice stuff. Let's say I do this. It also implements a deconstructor. And how does it work? Well, just like this.
Really?
Yes.
So it now automatically pulls out all of the values out of the Rick1 variable and puts them in the first and last name?
Because we have such a short defined order in the construction.
Yeah.
Also, you don't want to just change them because, oh, I made a mistake, because especially if they're all strings, like no one will notice until you've runtime because you just mixed it up.
Yeah, and then probably until Friday afternoon, nobody notices.
But therefore, it's also, there's no other way than this deconstructor works in that order.
Yeah.
So this is mind-blowing.
This is very, very powerful. And I think it makes C# more readable.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think especially models like DTOs or whatever you call them are interesting for this, because they take up a lot of clutter, and especially building a project, you're changing them a lot. Having those backing fields or any construction in there, or most people just don't define that. They just put get setters on there, and they will have a problem in the future.
And they run with it. Yeah, true.
So from that, we have another thing, and another theme is actually in the C#9 is accessibility for new programmers.
Yeah.
And one of the major things in there, like let's go to our main, our default program.
This is what we all know, right?
We all know this thing. It's called program there, and
then the namespace is the name of the project. So if you have dots in there, those will be in the namespace as well. You get the class program, that can be anything, but you do have to have the static void main.
Yeah, and if you see like JavaScript or anything, you can just run code.
Yeah.
Now, you can just run code, because all this stuff is obsolete.
That
you
is awesome.
can completely clean it up until here. You can only do this in one file, top level statement. Otherwise, it won't know how to order them.
True, and that's something I can totally imagine.
You're gonna get a nice error message, so it's also accessible. But someone with a text editor, like Vim or something special,
they will never know how to quit.
Oh, that's your only problem. I've learned that. But you can just run .NET on a text file, a new text file, and you can start writing hello world. Yeah. This is the shortest that you can have. You can put your system before the console, not to have the using in there.
Yeah.
But
this is awesome. And what about passing in parameters?
Yeah, because where are the arguments now?
Yeah.
But normally they're in.
Yeah, the command line arguments come into the void main, right?
Yeah, but they are available in this context. Because I'm doing this, I can actually pass him some arguments. So
you just have args.
It's just there. It feels a bit global, but.
Well, on the other hand, this does feel a lot like stuff that has happened within Azure Functions, where the platform does a lot of stuff for you and makes it available for you through bindings and triggers in that case. This actually feels a bit the same. They know you will have arguments command line. They'll just pass them through. And
it will say, like, it kind of removes, like, I know how this works because I'm special and I did this for years. Like, everyone knows how this works. Yeah. And it should be accessible, because we will get better from it. We have different people coming in. We need a lot of developers. Yeah. Let them learn C# and not only JS, because it has this. Let them learn different languages.
This is awesome as well.
So that's interesting. If you look at pattern matching, was also a topic in the end. Oh, I already typed here something. Can you recognize this?
What? If input is not geek, we have a not now?
We have a not.
That's awesome.
Because
and we have an and an or.
We have all kinds of things there.
We never had those.
No.
Yeah, like with you do that if is geek but then the normal and then
yeah, and did you do the like you probably did this, because the not I was fishing for the not for years, because you definitely have done this in the past.
Yes, I have done that.
Now you have the not is not geek, but also indeed the and the or, and you can combine them and put parentheses around it.
I think I also tried the exclamation mark before the is to not is it.
But then you get, because the object is nullable and you force it and you suppress the nullable. Yeah.
You get something completely different.
Because I know what you mean, because I definitely did this in the past, and then I reformatted, and then it's like, oh, I did this. Oops. I actually did this. So it did make sense to do that.
True. But that's awesome that we have a not.
So indeed we have, well, let's not do this, because that's a bit double. It's a bit obscure. But we can have these kinds of statements now.
That is cool.
So I definitely like that.
I think C# is getting more accessible this way.
definitely. It's readable. Like do this in switch expression.
Yeah.
You can put in ranges and things and combine all those things. You make it a readable piece of business software.
Yeah, what you talk about ranges, and then when you look at the ranges and indices,
Mhm.
at first, I thought, okay, so what am I reading?
Yeah.
But now they are part of C# or
Yeah.
.NET. So
Now
I
if you
think
see
this
someone
will
at
be,
the dot substring, like
don't
go away.
do that.
Yeah,
But
but
this is
you have
cool.
to get used to it, and don't use all kinds of styles and mix them and just do it because it's new. Talk about it with your team. Start implementing new ways of working. Check out your coding guidelines if
Yeah,
you have
because
them.
they will change based on what's now available in C#9.
And you really need to make decisions. You can start mixing these kinds of things, and it would make it weird. And we had that when Link was introduced. We had fights in teams like I'm doing the Fluent or
Yeah.
so choose wisely.
Discuss it,
Then
choose it,
discuss
and then
Don't
and
do it
then-
yourself.
No,
Like,
discuss it,
discuss
choose
with
it,
your
and
team.
then keep yourself to what you chose as a
Indeed.
team.
Then I have actually one more thing that is interesting to me.
That's a different show.
Yeah, that's a different show. I put it in the other examples. And I'm just doing as an example here string builder.
I like the second one better
Yeah,
with the var.
you know the discussion, right? Like how far unreadable. Well,
If
you
the assignment is clear about the type of class that's coming, I
var
use
X
var.
is new string builder, that might be a bit thing, and then 100 lines of code.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. We're all agreeing on that one. But there's actually another option, because sometimes you cannot use the var because you need it's an uninitialized when you start and you go into a loop, but you need it on the outside. So then
Yeah, but also I control space a lot of times. And why won't you give me the name string builder? Because I'm creating a string builder.
yeah,
But
like, you know what I'm doing, no?
yeah, you don't because I typed var.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, there's actually something new. So we now have a third option, if you please. So let's use also. Oh, I'm too lazy now. I'm not even waiting for the IntelliSense. String builder.
Yep.
And exactly what you just said. The IntelliSense says, of course, string builder, because in that case that works. But we can now leave some things out.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, so that's target type expression, because it knows what it needs to be. Why would you
Specify the type two times.
It knows what kind of constructions are there, so it can IntelliSense you. You can also put the initialization here, whatever you want. But this is an option, and also a handy purpose in some cases. Let's say you want to let's an object, or let's do var x because you like it. And what is it? I didn't include it. System text JSON. Where is JSON serializer? Serialize. This is a nice one, I think. Yeah. So you can do this, right? There's some JSON in there.
Yep.
Pretty empty object. This kind of works, but I want this to be, for instance, case insensitive. So I need to new up system. I need to know where the hell to get it, get it using in there.
Yes.
And it's a JSON serializer options, and then need to figure out what's in there. And in JavaScript, 9 out of 10 times, for instance, we can just put brackets there. Like I want to set the case.
Yeah.
We can use the new in here because it knows exactly
it knows the type, right?
what kind of type it is. But in this case, the new just in here like this, if it's required as a param, then it's handy because we don't care. Better than putting it in a variable or inline all those new big statements.
Yeah.
You can do this. So yeah, having like 5 news behind each other might be a bit unreadable, but definitely some options there. But in this case, I want to set one of those properties. For instance, the first one, allow trailing commas, is true.
Wow.
So I can actually define this now. And
this will
normally
make
this would
code
fall
so
off
much
my
more
screen.
readable. Yeah.
Or I'm defining it somewhere for a single use.
Yeah. I hate those.
Yeah. And helping this, and the IntelliSense already works because it's really well thought out.
This is pretty powerful, I think.
The targeted type new expressions is powerful, and the pattern matching enhancements is powerful. You can combine that all those things to a horrible example, if you want.
Yeah, but also, but we can do that currently as well. So I think I'm going to go over my current code with a fine-tooth comb and see what I can add and use.
So I hope I showed you some useful things.
Well, I think these are pretty awesome examples. So thanks for that one. Thanks for watching. We have a Discord available, so if you want to discuss about our videos, this video, or the podcast that we're currently working on, or on the live webinars, go to our Discord. We'll put the link in the description. For now, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.